Hi, we're the filmmakers of Leviticus, and we're at Sundance with IndieWire. I always wanted to reclaim this genre. This is a horror movie, and I feel like horror films were really shaped by queer writers for queer audiences, and in a lot of ways we were kind of reclaiming that space. So this is a film about two boys who fall in love and about the community that tries to erase that feeling they have for each other and the curse that they unintentionally unleash upon them and their whole community.
I just thought it was brilliant, the whole kind of concept and the way that Adrian had chosen to sort of tell this story. It was written so assuredly, and yeah, I just thought it was completely brilliant. And some things you can just tell when you read them the first time. You're like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, and yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
I think growing up in Australia as well, it is very true to our part of the world, but is also so open to everyone else as well. But coming from Australia and being in those environments, I definitely connected to on a personal level as well, just understanding where these kids grew up and how I fit into that story. I think we use a lot of that kind of country, small town thing, and I think Australian small towns are a very specific vibe, and there's a specific energy to them, which really works for the horror elements of the film, kind of this enclosed, claustrophobic space. So that's really important. And yeah, just the things they get up to as well.
When I got first sent the script, I was in Sydney on a holiday and I was reading and I just couldn't stop reading, and I was on a bus to Bondi. And I remember I wrote everything down that just came to me because it was just so beautiful and authentic and raw. And I remember I just wrote it down, and then I was like, I'm gonna find this director's email and I'm gonna send it to him, because like I thought, is he gonna respond badly to me saying that I'm obsessed with this script and really want to be a part of this film? So, I mean, I think, yeah, everyone said it. It was just like simply like amazing, and I just loved it so much.
When I was like auditioning for it in the audition process and read it for the first time, I honestly couldn't put it down. I was lying in my bed and I read it all in one sitting, and then reading it for like second and third time, it just got better and better, and you kind of, you find different aspects through it that you didn't read the first time. And I've never read anything like it. I've never seen any film like it before, and it really explores topics that I think it's so important to discuss today. And so I'm really grateful to have been a part of it. It was just so fun, and everyone's amazing in it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I think I read it like 4 times before we even, knew that I got the job, because I was just such a page turner. What I really loved about it was how densely written the characters were, and that a lot of the horror and genre elements were very, very character driven. I found that super compelling, and I really enjoyed reading it, particularly for that reason.
I've worked in lots of jobs before I became a director, but I did spend a few years working in development, and I think anyone who's worked in that kind of field will tell you it really makes a difference. Sometimes you pick up a script that's really great, but it's so dense and so difficult to get through, and you read a few pages, you put it down to go make a cup of tea, and then you come back and you've forgotten what's going on. And so I knew that the really, really great scripts, the ones that everybody talks about, are the ones that are the page turners. So I knew that, I not only had to craft this into a really great story with good characters, I just needed to make sure it was presented in a way that everybody understood. Because it's not just about selling it, it's also about, when you work with wonderful creative people like this, I think if they've connected with that first read, then their creative juices are going, and they're going to bring so many ideas to the table when they start working with you. So I think it is a really important part of the process. I mean, I can only speak personally. I know that I've always loved this genre ever since I was a little kid, and I guess it became clearer and clearer as I grew up why, feeling like an outsider. And I think that's what it is. It is about outsiders and about people feeling detached from society at times and then wanting to come back. It's also about this idea of committing transgressions and then bringing horrible things on yourself, which is always at the core of that, and the idea of fear. There's just so many themes that I think those of us who are queer are wrestling with all through our lives, that, especially the early parts of our lives, that are just wrapped up organically in the genre. And yeah, I think when I look back on it, it's always been about the themes that are in this film. It's just been a little more coded, basically. Gosh, what was the biggest challenge? Yeah, you're right, get in line, there are so many. I think just actually taking that leap and starting, it's one thing to sort of work on the script, But I think there was a point about a year ago, or a bit more than a year ago, where suddenly, like, we were casting and we were like putting real faces to these names, and it's just every time you enter a new phase, you go into pre-production, and suddenly you're locking down locations, and every time it becomes more and more real, that's where it becomes, you're sort of faced with this thing of like, oh, it doesn't live in my head anymore. It's actually got to be a real thing that we all have to interact with. And then eventually on a day like this, give to the world. Lots of different directors that I've worked with and learnt from over the years, I think the biggest lesson I learnt was to just really be focused on the process. Like, of course you do all of this planning and you storyboard things and you think about what the end result is going to be, but you kind of have to let go of that and be in the process and really listen to the creative people around you and the actors around you and just find what you can in the moment. That is the thing that someone told me a long time ago to just really appreciate and enjoy about filmmaking.
I think filmmaking is a process of like doing all this preparation, but then ultimately in the moment you kind of let it all go and something completely different happens. And I think certainly for myself, as I've made films more and more, you get more confident in that space of sort of surrender or something. Like you are confident in prepping everything, and then, you know, inevitably it changes, and that's sort of the magic of it, I guess.
Surrender is the right word. You kind of prep as much as you can, and you kind of gather as many resources as you can. You mine as much as you can from just everything you have, any source material, or if there's any references to real places or real things or real communities, and then you kind of just let all of that go and hope that the right stuff sticks. And that is a really liberating, freeing, terrifying thing. But surrender is the right word, I think, yeah.
Oh, can we talk about possession? Yeah. Okay. I think the possession was really one that it was kind of like, we did a lot of prep for it, and lots of stunts of me and Jeremy writhing around on the floor, being absolute maniacs and trying things. But it was kind of just on the day, the room is full of people, you have to just go for it. Adrian, I think you just rolled the entire time with, you know, 2 cameras just pointing at us, trying to capture whatever the hell was going on. And I think that's what's so great. It's all about the discovery and just what happens there. And it was so much fun.
And I think as composed as this film kind of looks, and because of the genre that it's in, we actually did a lot of just like old-fashioned improvisation sometimes, where we just kind of got the cameras to follow you guys and just came up with little moments between family members, between these 2 guys, and that was really fun because we got to explore what's going on underneath these characters, but a lot of that stuff made it in the film in little ways that really kind of elevated the film to something different. So I'm really happy with those moments, actually.
I think it's a testament to Adrian as well, how like beautifully you wrote the script and you didn't miss out any important parts, and you really like dug deep into all the characters. But then when you get to the day, like you don't hold on to the material, like we have to do this, like you kind of let us play, and that's what makes it fun. And like getting the authentic relationships between all of us is like what makes the film resonate with people so deeply.
There was just so much room in the script to play. I think, some of that scene, sometimes it was literally just Joe and Stacy have a conversation, you know, take the piss out of each other and see what happens. Yeah, and that's what was so much fun about it.
And Australians are very good at that.
Oh yeah, the best.
Well, for me as a filmmaker, I'm interested to hear how it affects you guys as actors, but for me as a filmmaker, I know that we're very lucky in Australia because we have a lot of support from our state and federal funding bodies. And this script really only exists because Vic Screen, our state funding body, had a program called Originate where they were looking for new projects, and Leviticus was one of them, and they supported it over many years of development, and so that's how the script got to the stage that it was at when they all saw it. So I think we're very lucky in our corner of the world, but we are certainly feeling it as well, I think. I know a lot of my friends who work in the industry are saying this sort of seems to be less and less work these days, and less films being made, less and less stories being told. So yeah, it is quite scary, but how about for you guys?
It's a small industry, I guess, but you know, and streaming's obviously changed the nature of cinema everywhere. So I don't really know how to comment on it in general. I think you did a good job. Yeah,
I feel like, well, I'm from New Zealand and it's kind of similar to Australia, but you know, things change and sometimes you just have to ride the wave and see where it goes, but it is a bit of like a unknown period right now. But at the same time, a lot of beautiful indie projects are coming out of both New Zealand and Australia that are at Sundance, and so we have to celebrate those ones.